Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Lead or Led By. We are presenting the special episode of The Leader Speaks. And today, we have a special leader among us who's going to speak about his journey, about leadership, and about his own idea of collaborating and team building. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Jireh Koh from Singapore. Mr. Jireh is an art educationist, and a teacher who believes that artistic expression is as important as any other discipline. As a senior arts executive in the Ministry of Education, Arts Education Branch, 2017 to 2021, he had the privilege to organize and spearhead many projects on a national scale, working extensively with industry partners and stakeholders. Mr. Jireh is a young leader who is an example for many other youngsters who have a dream and want to make their dream come true. So how they have to be ready to make some sacrifices in their lives and lots of struggle and lots of hardships. Welcome to our show, Mr. Jireh. How are you?
Hi. Thank you, Dr. Haleema, for having me here. Yes, I will just start with a bit of introduction, but thank you for the beautiful introduction.
Yeah.
So, like as we have mentioned, like I grew up in Singapore, which is actually a very multicultural society. So like a lot of my art practice, a lot of my education practice also deals with a lot of intercultural, and even interdisciplinary work and also interfaith work. So like with this melting pot of different cultures in Singapore, like we think that, oh, maybe I was exposed to a lot since young. Yes, you know, in school, I was exposed to a lot of different culture. I think that Racial Harmony Day, International Friendship Day, things are like wonderful initiatives. And but also at the same time, my family was very traditional. So actually, I didn't really kind of look at many different kind of cultures or faiths only until like later on when I was actually in London, but I'll talk about that later. So, but since young, I was also like very interested in like different disciplines, you know, like biology, art, even physics, the astronomy, all these kind of things. And like, I was always very curious. So I think it was kind of like, since young, if people ask me like, what do you do? Even in my art practice, what do I do? I'm like multidisciplinary. So like, that's always kind of big question. But at the same time, I guess like that's a question that is a journey, right? It's a journey. And I think that that's why in the end, I chose art, because art, you can bring everything together. It's a place where multiple lines of thought can kind of intersect and people can kind of work together. So like, because of my passion for art, like I got a MOE scholarship and I went to Goldsmiths in London to pursue my arts education. That's when actually I started to actually open up to see all the different cultures and different people, you know. But what happened was that I had a kind of a mystical experience when I was actually writing a paper for my degree. And then that kind of made me, wow, there is something, and that everything is so beautiful. And I started to look. So my first ever time I actually stepped into a Hindu temple was actually in London. It was not in Singapore, even though I grew up here. But then since then, that started my intercultural, multicultural journey. And it was also my art training in London that opened me up to interdisciplinary practice, because like I started out as like a painter, a very traditional classical singer, painter, but then like because of that, I was exposed to like contemporary art, you know, like to like, and contemporary art is a melting pot, right? And it's the performance art, things like that, and it opened my eyes to all these different ways of working. It made me work with different kinds of people. So like when I came back to Singapore, I had to work with the Ministry of Education. So I was in the arts education branch, and in the arts education branch, there is like 4 different kinds of there's like dance, there's music, there's art department, and there's also dance, music, art, and drama. So like I had the privilege to work with all the different teams, like and it's meet all these very, very passionate people that are shaping national education in wonderful ways. So like because of that, like I was very inspired, and also started doing a lot of community work outside of my work with the arts, like doing interdisciplinary work with my organization, one of the organizations I'm with, Independent Archive. We actually look at the different kinds of performative arts in Singapore, and also like the Arts and Culture Federation of Singapore, which has like different people from different disciplines, different generations coming together to promote the arts in Singapore.
Wow, that's really interesting journey and very inspiring journey. And Jireh, thank you very much for sharing in details, especially you are talking about your stay in China and your stay in UK, and then coming back to Singapore, and then having the multicultural environment in Singapore. The entire society is multicultural society that has given you lots of an insight, and then that has made you the person who you are today as a leader.
Yes.
Ms. Jireh, please just let us know that do you think that the leaders should have some values and the leadership must be value driven, otherwise there is no meaning in the leadership? What is your opinion about this?
Definitely. I mean, leadership values are very important in leadership, but actually like what values, right? Because there are so many values. So like a lot of people ask me like, Jai, like, because I'm called Jai, people call me Jai. So Jai, like, how do you do so many things? I mean, so many different disciplines, and then on the work, you do so many community work also and stuff. So like, I was thinking to myself, actually, like, I mean, at first, I answer my first answer was, oh, passion, but that's kind of like the first answer that came up to my head. And I think passion is just, people want to follow people with vision, with enthusiasm and energy, good energy. So this, but at the same time, when I actually went back and thought about it deeper, reflected on that question deeper, I think that beyond passion, what the value I hold very dear is actually, it's compassion. So I think that actually compassion is what drives me, is because I was thinking, why do I care about all these things I do, right? Why do I care about these communities, and why do I care about all these people that I help? It's this joy that is sparked within me that keeps me going when I do something that I care for. Okay, so we do not. I mean, of course, a lot of people say we need more leaders, but I think we do not need more leaders. I mean, the history is full of leaders, but look at the world, we need more compassionate leaders. Okay, the leader is not just a visionary, but it's also a servant for the people. So I think like that's one of the values that I think is very important to me. Okay, and the second value I think is actually curiosity. So that's why it links back to what I was talking about in terms of why I was doing so many things, right? Because I think openness to different ideas, to different people, to different experience is very important for a leader. Okay, like always keep learning, And the thing is that this openness to others, treating everybody with respect and goodwill, is because I'm always interested in what other people is doing. Okay, I'm always interested in what they do, how they do it. So this is actually very important for the leader to work with many, many different kinds of people, to work across disciplines, to work across different industries. Okay, I feel a leader is not only an expert in their field, but he's also a student. Okay, they are also a student. And then because of this curiosity, like then I can, as a leader, become inclusive, right? I can actually have more empathy, because why? I know what I don't know, right? I know what I don't know. I cannot put myself above others. So I always can learn from something from somebody. And so that gives me more empathy, gives me more compassion, actually. So I'm circling back again. But yes, so these are the two values, compassion and curiosity for me.
Wow, that's really very great. That compassion and curiosity. That's really very good ideas and values that one has to practice. Thank you very much for sharing, Jireh. Now, I am calling you Jireh. I don't know whether you like it or it is a correct pronunciation or not. But anyway, at times what happens in the organization that when we get any position, especially the leadership position, it's very difficult for us to satisfy our ego and then accept the ideas from others and then collaborate with those ideas. So how Jireh deals with this egoism issue in him, and how you collaborate with the people and how you accept their ideas, whether the idea comes from a very junior staff or very new staff or any fresh staff or anybody around you. So how do you manage this issue?
Okay, I think I talked a bit about just now about curiosity, right? So I think curiosity is actually helps me a lot in terms of like managing this, what we call the ego, right? This ego, especially because when I look and I meet new people and I realize, oh wow, I'm learning so much, right? It actually makes me more humble. Okay, but at the same time, I think like also I think working with all these people, how do we get all these different ideas? I realized that yes, I'm an expert in my field, but I'm not expert in all fields. Even though I am multidisciplinary artist, right? I work with many different mediums. I work with different art forms. I can be expert in multiple art forms, but at the same time, I'm not God or Superman, I am limited, right? So in the way, collaboration is very important to me. And what makes collaboration work is communication. Because doing intercultural actually and interdisciplinary work, I realized that communication, a lot of times conflicts happen because of miscommunications and understandings. It's not because like, oh, this party or that party had different ideology or what. It's actually sometimes a lot of time it's just different expectation, maybe different kinds of different kinds of background.
Yes, people actually assume that the other person will understand the way they want them to understand. Yeah.
Correct. And then like different cultures. So what's acceptable is not here is may not be acceptable there. So I think like communication is very important. If there's something that like, oh, maybe you're not so happy, maybe just say, don't keep it there, just communicate. And then the thing is on the table, then we can talk about it. Then that's when the chance for us to apply compassion, apply empathy, right? We give someone a chance. I mean, so that's why, but without the communication, there's no chance. Right? So everything is just caught inside. So I think just be clear, be sincere in the communication. Even like misunderstanding will happen. Like I was doing this like mental health project, and we were like working with people from the art side and also the music side, and like they're all from different disciplines, and we are making such an interdisciplinary event. So nobody knows the whole of all the parts. And the way that music people do things is a bit different from the way art people do things. So sometimes also miscommunication, misunderstanding, different expectations. So in the end, we really had to communicate very well and then be very clear. So I think like and that's why like being aware, just communicating also, even before misunderstanding happens. Also clear communication, I feel, is also setting the expectations or coming in with everything on the table,
Very beautifully explained. Yeah, because communication plays crucial role when it comes to collaborate and when it comes to having the ideas together and when it's brainstorming on any of the point and then coming together and doing anything in collaboration.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Jireh, today's world is a materialistic world. Everybody is self-centered, and before doing anything or before stepping out of the house, the people think that how it is going to benefit me. And the big me in the inverted commas are there.
The I, right?
Yes, I and me.
Me.
That's what I'm saying. In this situation, in this scenario, how do you manage to do the community services programs, and how are you useful for the community? So that you have to highlight, because I know that you are involved in many of the community programs. That's why you have been awarded with the Outstanding Global Leadership Award because of your this mindset, service mindset. Yes.
I think like that's actually a very interesting question, because like everybody struggles with the ego, right? I mean, this I complex, and it's only human. And I think like one thing is that I just know for on one hand, that yes, everybody has the selfish side. Everybody wants to, but everybody also wants to be happy, right? I mean, in the end, all we want to is to be happy. So sometimes it comes out in very unskillful ways that hurt other people and become like seems as quite selfish. Sometimes people are more skillful, can be happy. Everybody can be happy together. So I think like one thing that that I think at least for me is that I need to settle myself first, my own ego or my own self-awareness, right? And if the person is being selfish or being like a bit aggressive or antagonistic in some way, then I think I can only control my own behavior, my own communication, okay? And I will try to solve it in the most non-violent way as possible. But at the same time, as long as I know that I have communicated clearly, I have done my part. And the thing is that I think a lot of times, what is actually that's causing the problem is actually ignorance. It's not that people are selfish because of that they are really malicious, you know, or like they want to hurt people because they're malicious, but it's because of a lack of understanding, a lack of wisdom. So what I can bring in is that I can be self-aware of myself. That's my own wisdom, right? Wisdom is to apply. And at the same time also bring knowledge. Keep learning. I keep learning about other people. Maybe why they are behaving this way. I don't assume, oh, something happened, they do something, then I like, oh, are they doing something? I get very offended. But actually, maybe if I look more from their perspective, or maybe from their culture, maybe it's actually something that's not offensive, but or maybe even like something that they are going through, and then they're acting this way. So I think understanding, knowledge is very powerful. Understanding is very important.
Jireh, thank you very much. Here, I would like to just stop for 1 minute because this understanding you have pointed out. So it is so important because when we go to the programs and in the seminars, conferences, and other places, so I don't like usually shake hand with the men, and for female, for it's okay for me. So when the people are like extending their hand, and then when I don't do it and I do like this or like this, so at times, you know, the people, they feel quite offended and they feel bad. Yeah, they think that something I'm showing arrogance.
Not polite or like ego or elite or something. I noticed that too. Yeah, Dr. Haleema. Yeah, because that day like you know is like, you know, conditioning to like, oh, extend your hand, and later you're like doing this, and like, okay, because like then I realized, oh, it was actually my mistake on my part that I didn't check with you first, you know. But in the end, it's like, I don't think it's actually healthy to think, oh, whose fault is it? Whose mistake is it? I think in the end, yes, misunderstanding happen, but at the same time, is we don't point, we just communicate, and then we are happy. Dr. Haleema, I can't hear you. Like your sound is off.
Thank you very much for bringing out so many useful tips, especially when you were talking about the intercultural things, and then having the collaboration and misunderstanding, miscommunication. All these things are which we experience day in and day out. And you have spoken in elaboration. Thank you very much. I hope this is going to be very useful for the listeners, those who are going to watch this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Haleema.
God bless you. And once again, congratulations on receiving the Outstanding Global Award.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you very much.